In February of 2018, Mark Douglas, the big guy and the creative lead behind one of my favorite YouTube channels, announced that for the time being he was ceasing all activity on his channel and taking an indefinite break from what was once YouTube's premier parody channel. It's late 2022 as of making this video, and the channel has since remained a dead cell, with no updates, small skits, or anything that once resembled the channel that gave me so many free hours of entertainment, while also lifting my spirits at the same time. It's always sad when a channel of any size vanishes off the face of the platform. It's even sadder when you take into consideration that there is still a sizable fan base wanting more content, but more importantly, demanding answers. Chief among them, why did they leave, and what was it that caused one of the biggest channels on YouTube to sink into the bowels of obscurity? To even think about answering those questions, we need to go back to the early days of the channel, back when it was originally known as Barely Political. And as the name branding would suggest, many of their early videos had a wry political taste to them, with most of them focusing on political figures, namely Obama. It wasn't until late 2009 that they dropped their first Key of Awesome, and the rest was sorta history. They mostly left behind their politically themed satires and turned towards content that would appeal to a wider audience, and things were starting to look up for them. They had all the tools they needed to succeed. They had Tom Small, an experienced filmmaker whose unique independent style was perfect for their videos. They had Mark and his musical talent, as well as a cast of up-and-coming actors looking to get their foot in the door, as well as several talented singers and artists who were ripe for the picking. And as the years went on, they not only had their flagship series to keep them busy, but also several small skits and ongoing series, like their Halloween videos, their K-Stew React saga, and The Barely Guys, a puppet-themed series that really highlights the fun and creativity prevalent in the early years. And for a while, their official slogan was, "2 awesome hilarious videos every week!" Man, those were some good days. For me, what made the Key of Awesome so special was all the love and fun that was put into each video. You can tell from their behind-the-scenes vlogs that there was no ego and no tyrants anywhere to be found. The Key of Awesome for a time had a particular style and look to every skit or parody they made. No, they may not have had the budget to make the parody look like the actual video, but they did the best mock-ups they could. It was the signature Key of Awesome shitty look, as Mark often called it. And while some of the parodies look rough compared to today's standards, you can't deny that they did their best with the tools available to them. And for me, that just made me love it even more. Things were on the rise for the channel. Their parodies were doing great, fans were loving their skits. But like most things in life, there's a change. And in 2014, the channel changed. While I can't say it was for better or worse, it certainly was not the same. Around the summer of 2014, there was a noticeable change in quality when it came to Key of Awesomes. And not just a small change, but a gargantuan one. A channel that had made top-tier parodies with what little they had was gone. The days of the entire production crew consisting mainly of Tom Small with a DSLR were history. There was a noticeable as well as a sizable boom in video production. The sets they shot on were actual sets. They switched over to 4K cameras. They had monitors, production assistants, camera operators, gaffers. This show had become an actual production at that point. And like I said before, while not better or worse, it was different. But aside from how I feel about this new era of KOA, I still consider it part of the golden years of KOA. For me, those golden years started in 2012, and unfortunately, they ended in 2014. It was around here that the channel started focusing more and more on pumping out as many Key of Awesomes as they could. Many of the smaller series that they had taken great pains to produce in the past were starting to disappear. No more Barely Guys or serialized skits, aside from Frank's movie videos, but even those started to dwindle out as well. Their uploads were also starting to become pretty sparse as well. The days of 2 awesome hilarious videos every week ceased to exist long ago. Now it was more like 2 or 3 videos a month, at that. But it's easy to see where the slowdown was coming from. Many of their original actors had long left the channel. Todd Womack, longtime KOA actor, writer, and director, eventually moved to Texas to start a family, and others like Lauren Francesca and Andrea Fechko weren't exactly living close by anymore, so it's no wonder why they had to pass on more than a few Gaga and Taylor Swift parodies. and other talents just weren't available. Tom Small left just after the production boom had taken over, and for a while it seemed as if Beth Hoyt was the only actress they could rely on. Their output was slowing down and things were not about to get better. In late 2016, Mark launched the Key of Awesome Patreon, which was odd and a bit confusing, at least to me. Mark does his best to avoid explaining how this came to be and only ever saying that the channel was now owned and operated solely by him. He notes that while under their MCN they were able to film and create whatever they wanted, but now they were back to using whatever resources they had, only with even less money. Mark's lack of specifics only raised more questions. Maybe I don't watch enough YouTube, but it's strange that a channel this size would have to rely on Patreon to support them. And keep in mind, I have no issue when it comes to fan support or crowdfunding, but it really shines a light on how financially screwed the channel must have been at this point. I can only imagine that their previous MCN operated under the same controversial policies as Machinima, where Mark and the crew were most likely paid a lump sum for all their work while the MCN would own all their ad revenue until the end of time. From then on, the channel was on a slow but sure decline. Despite the size of their videos, they had a relatively small group of Patreon supporters. I know some channels without even a quarter of their subs who have patrons that topple them in the hundreds or even thousands. They were only able to afford a big production KOA once in a while, with the Key of Unplugged taking the place of what would have been a full-blown parody. But it's not like they weren't trying. They did their best to deliver a funny skit or video when they could. They even tried their hand at making an animated series based off their own creation, Reggae Shark. It was pretty good and definitely had some Phineas and Ferb meets Class of 3000 vibes, but it never made it past the pilot episode. There's not even an IMDb page for the show. They were able to finish out the rest of 2017 on a strong note, but eventually February of 2018 came, and Mark announced that he was taking a break from his channel. He didn't flat out say the series was over, that he was turning his back on videos, but rather he was looking to break away and try his hand at other ventures. He did say that maybe he would return one day or do a special now and then, but as of the making of this video, more specifically fall 2022, there has been no word from Mark, no updates, no word on if the series will come back, and as it seems right now, no real hope for the channel that consumes so many hours of my young life. For as much as I respect Mark for not going on a podcast and vomiting out all the drama that led to him closing the doors on KOA, part of me wants him to do that. I want to know what led to him leaving behind the brand he helped build and what the future shows for him or even his long dormant channel. As of now, we don't have answers, but we're free to theorize what happened. As for me, I have two theories as to what brought the channel to its knees. One is obviously money. You need money to make anything, and unless you know the right people who are willing to let you borrow whatever you need, nothing is free and every production comes at a cost. When they made the switch to Hollywood level productions, things seemed to change. For me, the team seemed more concerned with recreating the actual video rather than letting the comedy take center stage. Each production must have carried a hefty price tag, and that's fine when you have an MCN picking up the tab, but when you're on your own, it's a little more intimidating. And it's not like they could have gone back to their previous style. I'm sure it would have been welcomed by a few, but for the last few years they had built up a new identity and, well, there was no going back. My second theory has to do with the loss of talent they once had. It's easy and fun to work with people you can rely on, but like with any job, not everyone's going to stick around forever. Many of the faces who once graced these amazing videos had moved on to other things. Some moved away and started families, and others pursued careers that went beyond YouTube. I can't blame any other talents that chose to leave. It was their choice and their life to live. And even though they didn't stick around longer, it's a gift that they chose to be a part of this channel in the first place. And that brings us to the end. And in the end, it was Mark's choice and Mark's choice alone to decide what should become of his historic and hilarious channel. I don't know where he is or what he's doing or even how he's doing, but I hope he's doing well. And should a new video from the KOA ever appear on my YouTube feed, I'll be the first to click on it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want. I'll see you soon.